student loan debt crisis has become too big of a problem and it should be erased by the government. Graduates have had to put their life on pause due to their student debt. Diana Hambry wrote for Forbes on November 1st, 2018 that as total outstanding student loan debt soars past the 1.5 trillion mark, a figure that has since tripled since 2005, the new report examines the toll that unrelenting stress and financial strain from high monthly payments have taken on the lives of borrowers nationwide. Among those responding to the survey, borrowers owed an average of $87,500 in debt, but only made an average annual income of $60,000. Faced with seemingly insurmountable debt, some borrowers have had to postpone marriage, buying a home, and other life decisions indefinitely. Regularly, I contemplate selling everything and living in my car to help free up money to pay off the debt sooner, wrote a female respondent to Diana Hembry from Texas. She has had to put off having children, marrying, or purchasing a home, she reported, due to the high cost of student debt repayment. And some will argue that doing so will hurt the economy and people. 2. The government would benefit from taking care of its people in the current state we are in, wrote Philip V. McHarris and Zeli Imani, writers and activists for Al Jazeera, April 26, 2020. To truly deal with the looming economic crisis, the U.S. government will need to provide considerable relief that prioritizes the people, not profit. One major step in this direction could be canceling the $1.56 trillion in student loans, which would help millions of people recover after the pandemic subsides. Making public colleges, universities, and trade schools free would also help those hit hard by the crisis rebuild their futures and prevent another student debt crisis from emerging. For marginalized communities of color, who will bear the brunt of the social and economic devastation the pandemic will leave behind, and those who were already financially insecure before the outbreak, the need for such measures is more urgent than ever. 3. The people should be prioritized, especially right now during the coronavirus pandemic, wrote Astra Taylor, April 7, 2020, for The Guardian. We must recognize that the coronavirus outbreak is a dual crisis. It is a biological and medical emergency that exposes a deeper political and economic disaster going on in the country. For millions of Americans, life was difficult, even before the disease hit, and now things are untenable. With jobs and incomes lost, people will take on more debt and huge numbers will spiral into default. Ultimately, we need way more than debt write-downs or even debt abolition to help what ails us. We need to rewrite the rules of the economy so that people don't have to live in perpetual financial peril. The vast majority of working people are not indebted because they live beyond their means, but because they are denied the means to live. The case for things such as paid sick leave, universal health care, guaranteed housing, a public banking system, cross-border cooperation, and debt abolition has never been stronger. We need to think big and completely transform our economy from the ground up, prioritizing public welfare and ecological stability over private profit. The solution is simple. 4. Follow Bernie Sanders' plan for student forgiveness by taxing the rich, wrote Michael Stratford for Politico, June 24, 2019. Sanders' bill would automatically cancel student loans that were made, insured, or guaranteed by the federal government. The process is fairly straightforward. The Secretary of Education would have 6 months to forgive the outstanding balances on all federal student loans as of the day the bill is signed into law. Private student loans are more complicated. The legislation gives the Secretary of Education authority to purchase student loans that are held by banks or other private lenders. The government would pay the unpaid principal, accrue unpaid interest, and any late charges owed to a private student lender, and then it would forgive the loan. Borrowers would have to request the loan forgiveness through an application to the Education Department within 6 months of the bill becoming law. In both cases, borrowers would not have to pay federal income taxes on the amount of loan forgiveness they receive. The overall higher education plan, including the debt cancellation, would cost $2.2 trillion. Sanders would pay for it by imposing a tax on Wall Street transactions. His campaign said that the tax would generate $2.4 trillion in the next decade.